count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on your geography.
Two, hello, check, hello. Two. Check 2, hello, chat, are you there? Are you there, chat? Perfect Speller, thanks for the 12 months. Thank you, Perfect Speller. 12 months, that's 1 entire year in the friendship triangle. The gang's all here. We're here. Hello, folks. The gang is all here. Started from the lunch, now we here. I had quite a big breakfast this morning, so I have no like food to eat in front of you. For all of you sickos that tune in to like watch me eat sandwiches and whatever else I'm munching on, noodles sometimes, whatever it is. For those of you sickos that do that, I'm afraid there's no food today. I had like a smoked salmon eggs Benny earlier, which was tremendous. It was really, really good. I drank my Diet Coke already, though, Cool J. That's the thing. This is not a normal stream. The noodle ASMR folks are in shambles. I went to get a big breakfast. I went to HomeSense. I had to get some stuff for my apartment. I went to Winners and HomeSense. It's one of those big time, like 41-year-old man things. It was a nice little, what day is it? Nice little Thursday. And I got back and I was really needing that Diet Coke, and it was not time for the stream, and I had to go ahead without you, chat. I couldn't wait. I needed my DC. It was one of those mornings where it's like kind of a little chilly in the morning, and I was kind of wearing sweats, but very humid. And then I was carrying a bunch of stuff back to my apartment, and by the time I got back, I'm just like, oh boy, I'm just a big sweaty mess. Just a big disgusting sweaty mess. And I needed my crisp, cool,
good old Rob to talk you through
Diet
all
Coke.
this.
I believe maybe gonna go to Home Depot, maybe Bed Bath and Beyond, but I don't know if we'll have time. Yeah, it was kind of one of those days. I believe as a Canadian man, any errands you run must include a visit to Canadian Tire. Well, the thing is, I had a limited amount of time with a car because I don't have a car. I'm part of this like community car sharing program, so I didn't have it for a long span of time. Because I agree, I liked going into Canadian Tire. It's just a cool place to go into. There's all kinds of stuff. You're like, oh, I need that thing for my kitchen or bathroom, you know? Didn't have the time, though. Blurp Blurp, thanks for the 2 gifted subs. Very kind of you. Thank you for that. And listen, I don't know if Talks to Wall is in chat. I mean, there is a way of checking. I gotta give a thank you to Talks to Wall. I got a big tip from Talks to Wall last night. Like when the stream was not even going. When the stream was offline, I got a big tip from our friend Talks to Wall, which I very, very much appreciate. In Trudeau's Canada, you have to share your car due to communism. I mean, it's actually like a great program. It's been great for this summer. I'm a little less enthusiastic about this coming year of like commuting with my kid to school. I got like a decent commute to go with my kid to bring him to school this year, and I'm a little leery about this whole communato system for that. So I may just have to bite the bullet and actually like get a car. Now, how do you do that? I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to figure it out, though. I think I might need to get a car. In fact, I think I absolutely 100% do need to get one. Leery, you mean weary? No, leery like Leery, right? That's a word. Leery, cautious or wary due to realistic suspicions. See, I know what I'm talking about. I'm an English major. Trying to correct me over here? Come on now. Rob, did you see my 55 stream watch streak? Wow. I can attest that's 55 streams where you haven't mispronounced a single word. Diego, thanks for confirming that. Thank you for confirming that reality. Foiled again. Gotta buy an Audi with that big paid Chinese government mouthpiece money. Man, I really wish that I was a big paid Chinese government mouthpiece. Nothing would make me happier if that was the truth, but unfortunately it's not. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's sadly the only people that pay me are you people in the chat, not the Chinese government. But maybe one day, you know, I'm not saying it's never going to happen. Maybe it will. Maybe it will one day. Wouldn't a shill for China buy a Chinese car? I mean, technically, yeah, I think so, but we're not allowed to. That would give me away. Ugh. Okay. What do you think sends me the money to gift subs? Why the middleman, though? That's what I don't get. I mean, I guess maybe they just don't want to be culpable. I suppose it makes sense. I heard Twitch is raising sub prices again. Is that true? I did get an email about this earlier, yes. Which is like... supposed to be in October. I don't know. Like, I genuinely... only for mobile. Okay, it's just for mobile. Still, though, it's like... fuck, like, I genuinely don't know if I'm going to be able to stay on this platform if people can't afford to, like, subscribe to the show. And it's so stupid. Like, you see that they're not profitable. Twitch is not profitable despite all the assets that they have. And this insane, stupid, backwards corporate mentality of, like, we're not profitable. Let's just raise the prices of our product and then we will become profitable. This is like how the business majors do things. We'll simply raise the price of our product until we become profitable. When, as I've been advocating, and this is not just about Twitch subscriptions, it's about a lot of different kinds of products, what I suggest is that you lower the prices rather than raise them. You lower the prices rather than raise them, and then more people will buy the product when the prices are lower, and you'll make more money. That's my crazy idea. That's my crazy idea, but I don't know. Yeah, so Twitch subs are going up on mobile in October. And I don't know, we're going to have to see how it goes, seriously, because, like, fuck. I just don't know. What are even the costs of maintaining Twitch? I mean, I imagine rather high, like, to be fair. There's a lot of bandwidth, a lot of data that's being transmitted. It still doesn't make sense to me with the amount they make from... First of all, they're an Amazon subsidiary, so they should just have unlimited money. Like, you know? But obviously, Amazon is not going to buy Twitch in order to lose money on it. That's not how these transactions work, but... well, I'm just, like, they must make a lot in advertising money. And you got people slinging subs every day. I'm trying to make this goddamn number go up every single day. Like, what are you doing with this money? Where's it all going? I pretty much guarantee that Twitch could be profitable. It chooses not to for tax purposes. Yeah, and I would be interested to see a breakdown of how much of their profits are actually going into the infrastructure that, like, makes the platform viable, and how much is going into CEO pay. And is Twitch publicly traded? I actually don't even know the answer to that question. Do you get money from subs? Yeah, of course I get money from it, but I get 50% of the money from it. Twitch takes 50% of that money. It's like those Hollywood accountants that make sure every movie loses money. Yeah, every movie needs to cost $200 million now, even if it's like a rom-com with fucking Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper. It's a rom-com with starring Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper about two seemingly incompatible people that come together in this perfect evening and launch a life together through all the different obstacles. The budget is $265 million. It's like, what? What the hell is going on? The hell is this? It does not make sense. She's a local artist and he's an AI tech bro that uses her art for machine learning. Unfortunately, it only made $195 million at the box office, so it's the biggest flop of the year. It's the biggest flop of the year. This movie only made $195 million. What a disgusting failure it is. Hey, Husker, how's it going, man? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Geez, that's steep. Yeah, you're telling me. You're telling me, and yet I must try to make the number go up. It still constitutes for me as someone that kind of works in this world. It constitutes for me the main source of my income by far is the Twitch subs. So I got to keep coming on here every day and trying to make the number go up. I mean, that's how I'd how I told myself like what this is, you know? What's my job? Is my job, am I like an entertainer? Am I a political commentator? I'm not really a gamer. Like what is my job? No, my job is Twitch subscription salesperson. That's my job. And you can window dress that all you want. You can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about pop culture or politics, news. You can talk about, you do get ready with me's or put on makeup or go in a hot tub or do gaming or whatever it is. You can dress, you can fill in the blanks however you want. Ultimately, that's what my job is. Twitch subscription salesperson. I would have said cult leader. Well, it's not a cult, though. That's the thing. We've made that perfectly clear in all our materials. It's more like convincing your core audience to gift subs to a bunch of random people. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, same difference.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Well, selling Twitch subs is my business, and baby, business is booming. Joe, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. It not being a cult doesn't mean we can't have a cult leader. Well, I guess that's true. If other people want to refer to me like that, I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna stop you. Rob Rousseau hot tub stream when? Katrina, I've been very, very clear about the prospects of a hot tub stream, okay? Very, very clear. When I get to consistently 1K subs, then we'll talk about that. I at one point, sometime last year, I touched it. I touched the 1K number very briefly, and then it immediately went back down. We gotta be like, this has to be at a consistent level, okay? Then we'll talk about that. Then we can have a conversation about that. I want my streamer to be successful. Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Believe me, I appreciate all of you that tune in and support this show. I really, really do. I want to see you ball 1v1 against Hassan. I would need like a couple week training regimen before that. I feel comfortable with my prospects in that matchup, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not in good shape. I would need a couple weeks to get in game shape for that. Rob's lawyer told him to say consistently. Legally defined consistently. I would say for like...
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Define consistently. I would definitely say it would have to be like at least minimum 4 weeks without dipping below. It would have to be 4 weeks, a full calendar month, not dipping below the 1K number. You'd be able to just outshoot him. That's what I would have to rely on. Hassan's pretty big. Like, I don't think I could go take him into the post or anything. And I'm slow. Even if I'm good shape, I don't have a great handle. There would have to be a shootout for me. Dick Pendarren, thanks for the 12 months. Another 12-month sub. Dick Pendarren, thank you for that. As someone who's been in sales forever, Twitch is definitely sales. Yeah, I mean, that's how I think about it, Husker. And that's what I've always wanted to be like open about that. You know, I think sometimes people are kind of cagey about it, or they pretend that that's not what it is, but it's been the only way that I can like do this. When I was doing podcasting and stuff, I felt so weird about like, you know, the money aspect and trying to get people to support the work that I do. It's like I have to think about it like this in order to make a small living on this platform. And I've always tried to be open with the audience about that. So there's no miscommunication or there's no confusion about that. Oh, Husker, there's been someone in the chat just talking about cart night carts for the last couple of days. Maybe they'll show up today and give us an update on whether they've got the cart night carts that they've been looking for. You got to perfect your rainbow hook then. That would have to be a key weapon in the arsenal, definitely. What is the issue? I don't know. It's a great question. The 2 episodes a week for paid subscribers to your podcast is insane. So much content. Well, 1 episode per week for paid subscribers and 1 free. But it is a lot of content, Brandon. I'm not going to lie. This show, 3-4 hours a day, 5 days a week, plus 2 podcast episodes. Like, don't let anyone say that I don't hustle at this shit. You know, you might not think being a podcaster or a Twitch streamer is a real job, but like I do work pretty hard at this stuff because it is a lot. It's a lot to do. Content creation is a real job. Yeah, I guess it is. If you want me to be perfectly honest with you folks, like I love doing this show and I love doing this stuff. I do a little bit feel and have for a little while that I might be at the upper limit of like how successful I can be on here, which is amazing. It's just the fact that I've been able to make a little living from this website is amazing. But it's like I have been thinking for a little while, like I really need to be doing more.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
They call him the hustling leftist.
Doc, thanks for the 34 months of tier 1. I really appreciate it, Doc, and I appreciate you as a person. Thank you. I'm picturing Rob sadly removing the podcaster sign from his desk and replacing it with a Twitch sub salesman sign. You ever consider IRL content, go to protest, etc.? Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit of that. I did when the McGill encampment went up. I went out there and did a stream from there. It was fun. But not great for the actual like job part. Just tell Twitch to change it to $15 a month per subs. You'll almost triple your income in one easy step. Well, that's it. They're raising the sub prices on mobile, like what got us talking about this. So perfect. Should be really great for me and everybody else. I think you got to iron it out a little bit. It was great to watch. I did really like doing that stream. It was really cool, and it's hard with the data, the situation as well. I know there's ways around that. I don't want to be one of those guys walking around with a big streamer backpack, though. Like, come on. Oh, no, Joe, you're totally right. You say, I love the small stream vibes. I think you would need to make some changes to make it bigger, longer, more consistent streams, collaborations with other streamers, focused programming, etc. Not saying I like those things, just saying they seem to work. I don't know. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I've done streams that are longer. Like, I've done streams for 7, 8, 9 hours, and they were pretty fun, but I couldn't do that every single day. I know I have a... It would be one thing if I was just here by myself with no real responsibilities, but it's like I can't. I do not have that amount of time, and honestly, I could not do that day in, day out. It's been one thing to do it like sometimes, but like I could not do that every day. Have you considered telling everyone that Kamala Harris is the smartest person alive? I guess that would be better for business, better for the bottom line. You're probably at the limit without becoming more lib. I fear that that's the case. And also, frankly, folks, it's okay, but I'm kind of old. Okay, not that I'm that old, you know, I'm 41. It's not that old, but it's like this is a young man's platform, frankly, and women's and non-binary persons. You know, a lot of you folks, some of you are on the younger side, but a lot of them are like, you know, a lot of you are kind of similar to my age. Like when people are in this platform, they're not looking for old guys. Rob ain't no spring chicken. It's true. It's very true. Anyway, this is all kind of inside baseball stuff, but you know, whenever we talk about this, I don't want to act like I'm not grateful or anything like that, because I really, really am. The fact that I've been doing this for 4 years and I've been able to make a living from that, and I've been able to like pay bills and rent and stuff from doing this show and some of the other stuff that I do. I feel very, very lucky to be able to do that, believe me. And I'm very, very thankful to everyone that tunes in and supports this work that I do on here. As a 40-plus-year-old, I'm looking for oldie Olderson streams. Well, exactly. I know. Like, and I understand that some people are looking for oldie Olderson streams, but a lot of people, probably the majority of people, are not. And maybe there are some people that tune in like, oh, this guy seems okay, and it's like, oh, he likes North Korea, and they just get out of here. This guy seems to be an unironic Korean unification advocate. I'm out, you know. Show him the Stalin book. God damn it, don't remind me of that. Don't remind me. But like... Korea will be one again in our lifetime. I believe so as well. You should play Fortnite with the 13-year-old Nazi to get more popular. Yeah, that would be one thing that I can do. I mean, I remember 2 years ago, fucking Destiny asked me to go on his stream and like do this like debate about Nazis and World War II in the United States and stuff, and I was like, fuck no. Like, absolutely not. I'm sure that would have been great. That would have been great for my bottom line. It would have been great for building a brand or whatever, but I was like, absolutely not. I have zero interest in doing that. Less than zero. I have less than zero interest. I was like having drinks the other night and I was talking to a guy that I guess watches some of this Twitch stuff. And he was like, oh, you should do that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I've got invited to do that stuff before, and I do not want to. I don't debate. I don't debate people. Debate, then you run clips. Rob destroys Lib streamer in Carnage Death Talk. All over my factual tweet when I said the United States formed an alliance with Nazi Germany after World War II, which is factually and historically true. Inarguably. And the very historically literate fans of this particular streamer got very upset by it. Some people bragging about being a master debater, but not Rob. Exactly. I never master debate. It makes you weak. When you say Destiny, I imagine a crazy person randomly walking to strangers and screaming, debate me on the street. What was funny was like a couple months ago, I don't know what happened to him. I haven't been paying attention to anything he's been doing lately, but he actually went to Israel and he was like getting treated like shit when he was there, which is very funny because he's based his whole reputation on like going after Gaza protesters. He got treated like shit, but probably not enough to actually admit that he was wrong about the whole thing. Appreciate the debate retention inspiration. Thank you. I'm a debate retention influencer. You're an amateur debater, which interests some people more, I hear. Anyway, this is all just inside baseball talk. I hope it's like interesting to people talking about the life of being a Twitch streamer. Mr. Cannelloni, you know. It would be funny to see you argue correctly that the US is the Fourth Reich. Would surely win a lot of fans. That's the thing. I'm not sure that it would. And then I would just have to humiliate myself just like talking to this guy who's and especially someone that like is one of these debate guys and how they have the little like tricks and fucking, you know, all their bullshit that they do. And then you show up in the YouTube compilations and I don't want that. Fuck that. Mr. Bernoulli, Mr. Barbaroli, that was really one of the best bets. Mr. Fonzarelli, that was really one of the best bets. Like, that was so funny. That was really, really funny. Hassan literally said America deserved 9/11, and look how he's doing. I don't think these views are as unpopular as you think. That's true. And he's done, like I was talking about yesterday, not to always sit here and talking about Hassan or whatever, but you know, he's done a lot of really good advocacy in other areas. I think there's been a little bit of squishiness in certain places as well. You need to be a Turkish beefcake, though. That's what I do not have working for me. Like, obviously, I'm very handsome. Like, you know that, and I know that. Like, everyone recognizes that, but, like, it's not quite the same thing. No, I'm not going viral on Instagram with my, like, shirtless pics and stuff like that. Maybe I would if I put that kind of content out there more, but... Also, your uncle needs to run the major progressive network online. That also helps. It's called a spray tan, Rob. You'd be the tannest Canadian by default. I was actually doing a lot of tanning earlier this summer, but I kind of stopped. I had one day where I went to Osheaga a couple weeks ago, and it was just so hot, and I got so much sun that I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm all right with the sun now. Is TYT progressive at this point? I mean, there's been, I think, a shift from certain TYT commentators like Anna Kasparian, for example, who's become like a anti-homeless crusader, which is fucking weird. There's a lot of people on TYT that I think are fantastic, though. Maybe I might not agree with every single thing that they say, but there's a lot of people on TYT that I think are really good, including my podcast partner, Jordan, who is, I think, someone that has really good views and values. We talked to John Idarola the other night. He's a great guy, you know? Like I said, same with Majority Report. I might not agree with, like, every single thing that gets said on these things, but I do really appreciate a lot of the work that many of the people there do. Genuinely, I don't think the word progressive has meant anything for, like, 15 years. Yeah, it's kind of like... It can kind of mutate depending on what subject you're talking about, right? I don't know, Rob. Any Emma V is the goat and queen of good opinions. I mean, I mostly agree with that. I think Emma's great. Again, I don't agree with every single thing. Every single thing that people say. That's okay. We don't have to agree 100% of the time. I've talked about my views on imperialism and Russia, Ukraine, and China, and DPRK, and Taiwan, and all this stuff. I think I'm correct, both morally and politically. Not every single person in this kind of progressive, leftist, socialist media world agrees with that. It doesn't mean I think we should just instantly write off all these people. I will continue to make these kinds of cases. Matt Leck carries Majority Report on his shoulders. Yeah, and he goes very hard, too, especially with the Israel stuff lately. He's been totally uncompromising on that. And, Matt's helped me a lot. He raids this channel all the time. It helps me out a whole lot. I'm going to disagree with you here, Rob. I think we need more leftist infighting. I used to watch MR all the time, but they weren't positive enough about DPRK. I mean, we really got to handhold people on that one. We do. We really have to. If posters aren't at each other's throats, how will I know who's the most communist? Exactly, yes. DPRK is a big leap for many. And that's the thing, is I talk about that often for the last, as long as I've been doing this show, Joe. I talk about DPRK pretty often. It can be really alienating. I think there's probably people that show up in this stream sometime and are like, oh, this guy's okay. And then they hear that subject comes up and they're like, what the fuck? I do think we need to investigate why people are so brainwashed that they like instantly believe every single thing that we hear about DPRK, but that's I think an interesting subject to think about and to talk about. And we should ask whether there's a little bit of Orientalism in the way that we think about DPRK. And we instantly believe every single horror story we hear about it, whereas we might be a little bit more willing to challenge these narratives when it comes to Cuba or it comes to Bolivia or Venezuela or some other places. Yeah, loyal citizens of Pyongyang is really the DPRK pill, to at least allow you to like ask a basic question, which is like, have I been told the truth about this situation? Which is really all I really ask. We don't need to like uncritically believe anything or suggest that there's some like utopia that's like this like hidden secret socialist utopia. I don't really believe that. But like, just ask that basic question. Have I been told the truth about this situation? And I think that for whatever reason, that's become, even people that have really like progressive values, it's become this thing where it's like, that's like the socialist Wakanda. Yeah, no, I don't believe that either. Why is it not socialist Wakanda? Well, partially because it's a very poor country. Why is it poor? Well, part of the reason it's poor is because of the 70 years of being at war and being illegally partitioned by the United States of America and being blockaded and embargoed and sanctioned for its entire existence. I think that's a big reason why that is. Well, this is just it, Moss. I think leftists are better on Cuba, at least somewhat out of guilt. They understand how the U.S. is singularly responsible for the situation. They don't understand this about Korea yet. But that's what I wonder is why that is. Why do they get that? Why do people understand that Cuba has been dealing with these kind of contradictions for its entire existence? But then they're like, no, DPRK is just this like backwards reactionary monarchy, dystopia. And all like that entire influence of Western imperialism gets completely hand waved away. The fact that millions died in the Korean War mostly due to U.S. invasion. Squatch. Hello, Squatch. I mean, learning more about the Korean War is a big step for me too, and changing my outlook on this situation and starting to realize that we have been lied to a little bit about that. Maybe part of the reason, if North Korea does have problems, if it does have issues with free speech or all these things that we think about, perhaps the fact that the United States killed 3 million people there and destroyed the entire country and then illegally partitioned the country, perhaps that might have something to do with that. Sorry, excuse me. It's like with Iran, you want the country to make better decisions in leadership, maybe stop sanctioning medicine and their own money. I mean, it's like you can't separate the effect that Western imperialism, whether it's in the form of sanctions or military blockade, encirclement, and you can't just judge any kind of society on its own without having that be like the primary thing that's like influencing everything about it. DPRK is like a disgusting monarchy. It should try and be more like the shining example of democracy, like Israel, exactly. Like, imagine what the news media in the West would be talking about if DPRK was dropping like more bombs than were dropped in all of World War II on a tiny captive population of people within their borders, and mass murdering tens of thousands of little kids. I wonder what our media would have to say about that, this repressive authoritarian dictatorship. Like, it's insane. We literally accuse them of human rights violations, and it's like, oh, thank you, Israel, please continue. Here's more billions of dollars worth of bombs. Korea talks a lot of shit, understandably, so I think people are impulsively defensive. And DPRK has been a unshakable ally of the resistance and the Palestinian people, which doesn't get talked about enough. They've played a large role in a lot of anti-colonial struggles throughout the years. Imagine if China had treated the Uyghurs like Israel treats Palestinians. I mean, if there was even one 1/100th of what we've seen over the last 10 months, let alone the last 70 years, we probably would have fucking invaded by now. It's also interesting how leftists will be pro-ending the blockade against Cuba while still performatively opposing its, quote, authoritarianism, yet they can't find that grace for DPRK. Yeah, and frankly, and like that's the thing, even though I try to be gracious to people, I can't help but think that there's a lot of like racism and Orientalism that goes into this kind of distinction that people make. That's true. DPRK does fire off a lot of missile tests into the sea, wild card. Well, and it's defensive. Like, they're the ones they have the entire like arsenal aimed at them for the last 70 years, right on their border, a border that shouldn't even exist. There's one country, Korea, and there's this border that was artificially put there after people from the north helped free DPRK and free all of Korea from Japanese colonialism. And then America just swooped in and said, like, no, we can't have this. Illegally and artificially partitioned the country, doing military drills right on that fake border every single year for the last 70 years or however long it's been. And then we're surprised when they develop weapons technology or they put resources into the military. Like, probably, I can't really speak for anyone. I imagine DPRK would probably like to spend more resources on like housing and feeding its population. But yes, they put resources into their military. Why? Because the country that killed 3 million fucking people there are still there all these years later, militarily occupying the southern part of the country and aiming an entire arsenal at them and engaging in
DPRK did nothing wrong.
And engaging in military exercises where they plot and they practice invading the country right on that border every single year. Sorry, who is that? And thank you for the tip. Just sorry, one sec. I would just need to figure out who that was. Blurp Blurp. Thanks for the 690. It's kind of the sex number, that. Thank you, Blurp Blurp. I appreciate it. And if anyone wants else to send a tip as well, I really do appreciate those tips. You can do so using the donate function in the chat if anyone else feels like tipping me for supporting the work that I do on here. Have you seen the Boy Boy video on them getting a haircut in North Korea? It really does a good job of normalizing North Koreans. I think it does so much. I have seen the video. I don't think we've ever watched it here. I have seen the video though, and it really does help when you look at this and realize, oh, this is not some like cartoon, but these are just like people. These are just like normal people going about their lives. That's what's always weird about those videos when they do like tourism videos in DPRK or Pyongyang or whatever, and they're like, they go to like the water park or they go into the transit system, and people are like, this is so sinister. It's so sinister. Oh, look at these people all like pretending to go about their lives and being normal when really we all know that it's not like that. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? They're literally just people going about their lives. It's all staged. It's really bizarre, honestly. The mental gymnastics people have to do. This is so sinister. It's just people on a train like going like looking around. Whoa, this is scary. It's not scary at all. It's like totally normal, actually. More than 200 days per year of US ROK war games means that DPRK military has to be on full alert during all of those days. They plan the war games during planting season to divert the military from assisting with agriculture. That's so fucking evil. And this is what people don't want to do. They don't want to look at they live in the empire and they don't want to look around and see and understand the effect that this empire has on the entire world. And they view places like Iran or DPRK or Venezuela or Cuba, and they view them in this like vacuum, and they pretend that the role of imperialism just doesn't exist. They just pretend that they don't see it. People watched The Interview and thought it was a documentary. Yeah, and then Hollywood actors make movies about like assassinating the president of Korea, and then they're like, why did DPRK? Why do they hate America? It's just a mystery. What a mystery. Look at their scary subway. The doors don't even have handles. They just slide back and forth when Kim demands it. This is what people say. Completely uncritically. Even people that might think of themselves as having like more left-wing values. People like Yeonmi Park don't help either. But then it's so fucking clear she's a liar and a grifter. Like now she's like a Trump supporter. And she said so much absolutely insane shit that like, I don't know what would be wrong with you to have to believe any of it.
Good old Rob.
And then people don't put two and two together. Perhaps more people have been lying about this. Perhaps there's a whole cottage industry that's out there for people that defect to go and say all this outrageous stuff. They don't put two and two together. Other defectors hate her for being such an obvious liar. For sure, she's given away the whole game. She's given away the whole scam. Diego, thanks for gifting sub to James Ed Smith. 2 and 2 together is 22. That's right. Yes, that's correct. I'm a math expert, and that's 100% true. I did hear my friend's younger brother regurgitate that lady's lies about North Korea. He was totally serious too about everything she said. I mean, I genuinely find it kind of strange. Like people can maybe think critically about a lot of things, and then they hear North Korea, they hear DPRK, they just go bloop, and like this switch gets flipped, and they just believe every single thing that people say about it. The obvious liars and propagandists that lie to us about absolutely everything. But for on this one though, they believe it. And on Ukraine, often they believe it as well. It is ironic that Israel has done 10 times, I would say even more than 10 times, 10 times of whatever Iran, DPRK, China was being accused of in just a year openly. They burn, murder, torture, enslave people openly, and they're proud of it. And our government says, like, good job. Here's more billions of dollars. Please take more billions of dollars to continue burning children alive. It's just, what a sick society that we live in. Seriously. What an absolutely sick society. Everyone see the clip from the French news show where they show a Ukrainian soldier wearing a Nazi SS helmet. Well, yeah, just we're canceling people for being interested in history now, I guess. Wow. They simultaneously call the convoy people insane for what they say about Canada, but then uncritically buy everything that an equally insane person says about a country they don't like. And why don't they like it? Well, we don't know. They just know that they don't. They just know that everything we hear about it is true. I stopped following all leftists that are wrong about DPRK, China, and the expansion of NATO. And that's the thing. I'm proud to be right about those things, but it's not a great business decision to be right about those things. It's a way better business decision to repeat the standard talking points on all these places. The Ukraine one is another hard pill to swallow for feel-good Putler libs. I mean, it just goes to show how, like, in terms of, like, the internationalism, how completely fucked whatever might constitute the Western left has become. When it's like we can't even all agree to just oppose what an obvious NATO proxy war. We got NATO supporting leftists now. This is where we're at. This is where we're at in the left. This is what, after decades of, COINTELPRO and like decades of this whatever community, this movement being artificially kind of fucked with, this is what we're left with. We got NATO supporting. Just don't support NATO. It's really easy to just, if you're like, I'm a leftist, just like, okay, NATO is bad. So it's like that meme with the mental gymnastics, You just do the simple front flip. NATO is bad. And then when you see a NATO proxy war happening, you're like, I'm against this. And being against it doesn't mean I support every single thing that the Russian government does. Like, that's not what that means. Are trots and online-only anarchists left, though? I mean, I guess you would describe them that way, but it feels like that's just all that we're left with after all these decades. Like, there used to be an actual movement of people that, Marxists that took these correct lines on internationalism, and that's been very carefully dismantled over the years. Most of the country thinks the Dems are left. Yeah, they think the Dems are left because they want to give people health care and education, which they don't even want to do. Ukraine and Russia is hard to get through with liberals and left people because they can't accept that the good guy, bad guy lens on war is often just complete fantasy nonsense. Yeah, and like I said, Brandon, people want to ignore the role that we play in creating these situations. It doesn't mean that you excuse every single thing that happens on the other side. But whether you're talking about Ukraine, whether you're talking about DPRK, whether you're talking about Cuba, Venezuela, whatever, you can't ignore the role that we play in creating these situations. And the NATO and the United States and Canada and its allies helping to create that situation, the Ukraine war, that's an inarguable fact. That's not like an opinion. That's not a Putler talking point. It isn't. That's just a reality. It's a fact that we deliberately helped create that situation. And we're actually prolonging it and just making it continue forever. Or Iraq, like Iraq was another example. We got to go into Iraq. Oh, are you saying you like Saddam? Are you saying you like Saddam? Of course you've got to go into Iraq. How did Saddam get there in the first place? Maybe we should ask that question. How did Putin get there in the first place? Maybe we should ask that question. How did the Taliban get there in the first place? Maybe we should ask that question. We don't want to ask that question, though. Hassan makes a good point about this. Putin clearly says we are ultra-capitalists and behaving just like Israel. What do you want from us? Israel's actions completely destroyed any fake legitimacy West pretended to have. Yeah, I mean, it has. Whatever moral high ground they might have pretended to have. Completely gone. It's a little thing called blowback. Yes, it is. People have a really hard time wrapping their mind around this concept, don't they? Remember the Kuwait ambassador's daughter pretending to be an Iraqi civilian? Yeah, and people still don't want to cast doubt on these narratives when you have people making these kinds of cases. Most of the problems in the world are created from the fallout of U.S. interventions. This is what it comes down to. This is what it is, in my opinion, to be an anti-imperialist. You know, and I've seen even people like socialists that I know argue about like Russian imperialism and that kind of stuff. There was a popular tweet going around about how like you can really only like Western imperialism is the primary contradiction. That's something I happen to believe in. And people were pointing out like Lenin, you know, what Lenin said about Russian imperialism in you know, the early 20th century. And I don't think it's quite that simple because I think the Western hegemonic power has increased drastically since that time. I think it's a different situation now than it was then, 100 years ago. Anyway, none of this is to like make excuses for bad things that other countries do. There's a lot of things that the Russian government does that I don't like and that I don't agree with. You have to do the Trump voice when you say Lenin. Lenin. Same thread by the Danish security expert. This video from yesterday also shows a Ukrainian tank flying a flag with Reichsadler on a black sun symbol. A full house of neo-Nazi iconography. And he still supports these Nazis. I mean, listen, maybe after a couple dozen more examples, some of these folks will finally start to realize what's going on here. Rob, you're asking too much from humanity. Where's the hot tub stream you promised everyone? Thank you, Hildy. This already came up today, okay? This already came up once today. I told people, we'll talk about the hot tub stream when I get to 1K subs. And right now I'm barely over halfway there, so not happening anytime soon. Hildy asking the tough questions here. Here's the thing that most people don't understand. I don't live in Russia or DPRK. I do live in the USA. So yes, I'm going to be more critical of the place that I live, for sure. And I live in Canada. We're part of the Anglo-American Empire, right? The rules-based international order, the Fourth Reich, what you might want to call it, you know? So yeah, I think we should criticize what our empire is doing. It doesn't mean uncritically believing anything about any other country. Or suggest that like we're bad and Russia good. Like that's not, we don't need to think that. We do live in the empire though, and we should be focusing on what our empire is doing and how it's creating these exact situations. Whether it's the Ukraine war or whether it's Putin being there in the first place. How did he get there? We never asked this question. It's wild that 100 years of history can pass and then people not think that the terms of dialectical materialism may have changed a little bit as well. I think that's something we need to interrogate a little bit, frankly. Anyway, it's funny because I spent the first part of this stream talking about how I'm like, it's hard for me to find like a large audience on this website, and then I spend the next 30 minutes like saying all the things that have caused me to not have a large platform. I think it's really difficult to say these things to people because they're so indoctrinated in the liberal way of thinking, good guy, bad guy. Yeah, and we live in this mass media machine that promotes these narratives, and people are susceptible to it. Even people think that they're capable of critical thinking. Do you think the Dems will be defeated in all these swing states? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not sure. Right now, they seem to have a lot of momentum, but in 2016, I didn't think there was any chance that Donald Trump would win then, and he did, so. Stop the steal. Don't say that kind of stuff. This is what gets my videos taken down, when I ironically promote these kinds of concepts. Last time I mentioned that the U.S. population are the most propagandized people on the planet. Here, someone went full anti-DPRK nonsense and got booted. We don't tolerate that shit here. We don't tolerate that shit, Brandon, as you know. That's the thing that Americans don't want to admit. They live in this massive, incredibly powerful, highly funded security propaganda panopticon, and you live in there from birth to death, and they really think that they're like free thinkers, or that you have free speech or freedom of thought. I'm immune to propaganda. That's right. That's how it goes. If someone tried to propagandize me, I would simply say, please stop that, sir. What we really need is a highly funded friendship triangle. I agree. I agree with that. Unfortunately, the folks in this chat, in this community, are the only places where I get this funding. So if you can, please subscribe. If you like these kinds of stances and takes on this website, please subscribe and help me make this little number at the bottom of the screen go up. Well, I read 1984, so I'm immune to everything. I think the ultimate irony about 1984 is that it has that effect on people, but I think there's some really important ideas in there. You know, ultimately, it's this kind of work of anti-communism. But a lot of these, like, ideas in 1984, like double think, double speak, we're at war with East Asia, the revision of history. This is shit that happens it describes perfectly shit that happens in our own culture every single day. Completely just changing the history of something that happens. This happens all the time. It happened with Ukraine, right? It happened with Ukraine once the war started. Every single thing that happened in the 10 years prior to that, let alone the last 30 years, was just like, nope, gone. Like it never happened. There was a lot of reporting in mainstream media about Ukraine from the years 2014 to 2022. A lot of reporting about that from mainstream journalists. As soon as the war started, whoosh, gone. It's just gone. All of that context is just taken away. Like, it's crazy. "1984 is fine. Its fictional structure is great too. Animal Farm is so bad, though. A dumb analogy that which works for third graders." Yeah, Animal Farm is trash. I mean, yeah, it might be a good book for a kid or a child, but when people base their actual like political or historical views on a children's book, I think that's probably not good. And totally creates this false idea that people have and reinforces this false idea that when you have a revolution, everything just goes back to how it was, but different people are profiting from it, which is just completely historically inaccurate. Even if you might want to have some kind of criticism of Stalinism or stuff that was going on in the USSR, people's material realities objectively improved. Objectively. From feudalism to socialism. Even if there was authoritarianism or lack of free speech or lack of whatever, people's material realities improved drastically. Like objectively, inarguably. There's literally no argument against it. Like it's provable. And you can look at every single metric for how that measures people's like standard of living. It all went up during that socialist period. And it dropped drastically when the Soviet Union collapsed. Joe Biden, we'll take care of Nord Stream. Nord Stream explodes. Who could have done that? Must be you said outlet. I don't know if that's what you mean, but there's been a lot of talk about that lately. Oh, some Ukrainians went rogue, but don't worry, they were not connected to NATO or the Ukrainian government. They just went rogue and did that, even though the president of the United States was like, we're going to get rid of Nord Stream. Like, and people are just like, yeah, I believe this. Yep. No, this makes sense. Like, seriously? Whereas, remember us, folks, we happen to, because we have basic historical knowledge, we were able to understand exactly what happened the day that it happened. And you don't have to go through this whole process of like the mental gymnastics. You can just know what happened the day it happens. You don't have to wait for evidence. You meant Poodler. Okay, I see. Oh, this has been an animated discussion already, folks. We dove right into it today. We dove right in. I think we solved it. Okay, thank you. Good. Me too. Should be smooth sailing from here. We dove in like the eventual hot tub stream. Most people don't actually care about the facts. They tailor their views to fit in with what is socially acceptable and get some clout points.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Thank you for the raid, Dave. Welcome in, Raiders. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. How was the Dave Legend stream today? I hope that it was good. Welcome in. I'm Rob. It's nice to have you. Nice to have you on here today. Ugh. I actually had like a somewhat decent night's sleep last night. It's still not really enough. So chat here, do I have a second DC? Is that what I need to do right now? Do I need to have a second DC? Can I do that? Imagine if all the small leftist streams joined into one large adult leftist stream. I don't know if we want to do one of those adult streams. That's maybe... It's a family website. You can live in the rules-based international metropole. You can do whatever the hell you want. I guess I might as well take advantage of it, for such as it is. Montreal's defeated summer. Sleeping is back. But don't worry, this is fake summer, though. Or this is fake fall. It's not over yet. We're going to have another period where it's going to get hot again. I'm not ready to declare victory over summer yet. Okay? The Guardian has today published an article in their comments section actually telling the truth about Palestine. I mean, that's one of the most insane things about this situation is that mainstream media in the West, which has been so complicit in continuing this situation for decades, are now actually genuinely starting to publish stories that like talk frankly about the situation and the genocide. And our political leaders are still like, no, we still support the genocide, actually. No, we still support it. Hey, one sec, folks. I'll be right back, okay? I'll be right back. Okay. Got some leftover garlic potatoes here. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna munch on those. I mentioned I had a big brunch before starting, but now I am a little bit peckish. Evil right-winger not beating the evil right-wing allegations. I wonder why the streamer who eats garlic potatoes in the middle of a stream has not broken through into mainstream media. Listen, this is the kind of stuff that you hogs like, all right? Don't blame me. You like this. You like this, and don't pretend that you don't. The audience forces me to eat garlic potatoes. It's audience capture. I've been clapping like a seal when the potatoes entered the frame. Yeah, all the big streamers eat on stream. That's not my problem. My problem is everything I said over the last, 40 minutes or so. That's the problem. Okay. NGL, anything but full leaded regular Coke is an abomination, but a good personality can compensate for such a boorish decision. I'm sorry, but I don't like all the sugar. It's too much sugar. It's too sweet. I don't like it. I'm sorry. If I want to eat something sugary, I'll have ice cream or a Danish or some kind of desserty thing. I don't need to be drinking 28 grams of pure sugar in a can when I'm thirsty. Have you considered water? I drink a lot of water. And first of all, Diet Coke is 99.5% water. Probably even more. 39 grams, even better. I drink water all the time. I drink a big pitcher of water almost every day. So boo to you. Okay, well, show him the Stalin book. It's a good thing you have a good personality. I have a fucking great personality. I've got a great personality, asshole. Some say the best personality. I drink water with a spritz of liquid IV. It's dank. I mean, that's a good idea. Get more water per water that day. That way. Okay, well, let's get into some of this more discourse. If we must. I mean, listen, if I felt like I could make a living on this platform from just sitting here and shooting the shit all day, I would love to do that. But we gotta We got to move things along here. More discourse to fill our discords. And I'll just remind people before we get going. Trying to meet the daily sub goal each and every day. Is today the day that we get back on track here? Because remember, if you do enjoy this program and you enjoy these kinds of takes and stances and analyses, if you like all this stuff, well, the only way that I can keep this show on the air, on this platform, is if people subscribe to the show. So you can support the work that I do on here, the content. You can get the tiny little images, some of the very best tiny little images on this website. You can join the community.
You can count on me. You're gonna have.
If you can, please do subscribe to this program.
TRRS drums.
Ben Bang Boom, thanks for the 33 months tier 1. No, I didn't see the Alien movie yet, Squatch. I will see it soon. Best potato takes on the platform. Thank you, sir. I am looking forward to seeing it, but I haven't seen it yet. Did you? Has anyone else seen it? Is Maduro stealing the election because he hates democracy? Yes, absolutely, and we support that, actually. That's my spicy take. Yes, Maduro's stealing the election because he hates democracy. Yes, that's good and cool that he does that. That's my basic stance on that. I liked it. A couple of cringe moments that kept it from being great. IMO. Okay, well, I mean, I'm pretty interested in seeing it, definitely. Like I've seen some reviews that I find pretty positive. So from people that I usually like. So best potatoes, mashed, baked, or fried. I think it depends on the context, because it's like if you're having like Thanksgiving dinner, you don't want like fries or fried potatoes. You want mashed potatoes and gravy. You know. There's sometimes you just need a different style of potato for different scenarios. But Canadian Thanksgiving or American Thanksgiving? Canadian Thanksgiving, obviously. No, I don't want that. I don't really want that either. We're just getting that set up. Okay, good. I've been using a mandolin to turn unpeeled washed potatoes into fries, and I cook them in a wide-rimmed pan with a lid on it so they're kind of steamed and baked. Very delish and easy. That sounds kind of interesting. I've been thinking about one of those mandolins because like there's that kid Logan on TikTok that makes cucumber. He's gone super viral, and he totally cucumber pilled me. I'm so cucumber pilled right now. I've been eating so many cucumber salads because of this kid Logan on TikTok. And he's got one of those. I still don't totally understand why you need that. Like, to slice up a cucumber. Like, to me, a knife is probably the superior method to be doing that. They are insanely good, Dick, Pandaren, and like a lot of variety. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Uniformity and speed, yeah, I guess so. You can do thin and accurate fast slices, I guess so. I suppose. I just don't want a new thing, really. But I have been making those cucumber salads, and they're tremendous. Dang it, now I'm off to the fridge for a fresh, crisp Grillo's half-sour pickle. Sounds fantastic. I've been using a mandolin to make below-average folk music. Cool. So much variety, though. Like, I think the traditional cucumber salad, you put, like, there's, like, rice wine vinegar and soy sauce and sesame oil and that stuff. I've just been doing lately just some, like, rice wine vinegar, sugar, garlic, salt and pepper, and just that. And it's really good. Just shake that up. Fantastic. It's so fast. Really, really good. I make a buttery home fry type potato disc. It's versatile. That sounds good. If you need to slice up 20 cukes or whatever, that's a ton of knife work. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. The one cucumber salad that kid's been making is that I really want to try, though. He makes like a smoked salmon bagel version, which seems really good. Where you put whipped cream cheese and smoked salmon and capers and like the caper juice. I haven't tried that one yet. Been making this for the last couple of days. Fresh garden tomatoes chopped and salted, toasted bun. Rub it down with a clove of garlic, bunch of mayo, heavy dose of za'atar. Sounds fantastic. Let's look at some of this footage from the DNC. And I just want to remind people, as we've been doing, that when we talk about this and we talk about these protests happening outside the DNC, I would just like to remind people that just in the last day or two, I've seen an image of a child with his head completely blown open being carried around by a man. I'm sure many of you saw this video. I've seen a child burned to death. The corpse of a child that was burned to death just in the last day or two. So let's keep that in mind when we talk about the DNC and the protesters and what the people at the DNC are saying. The Mindy Kaling clip.
Of the Democratic National Convention. My name is Mindy Kaling. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, I am an incredibly famous Gen Z actress who you might recognize from The Office. Thank you, The Mindy Project. The woman who courageously outed Kamala Harris as Indian in an Instagram cooking video. Yes, you're welcome. I am so proud to be here supporting my friend. But the real reason I am here is that deep down, I truly believe that as a woman of color and as a single mother of 3, it is incredibly important that I be appointed ambassador to Italy. That's how this works, right? That's like why I'm here. I've never been, I'm dying to go. And guys, I just really need a break. I know it's not the priority tonight, but just think about it. I am actually here because I have known the vice president for a long time, and I want to tell you a story about one of the first times I ever met her. She wasn't Madam Vice President then. She was my senator, and we were filming a video where she came to my home to cook dosas, a South Indian dish. Yes. It's not every day that a senator comes over, and I was pretty nervous. But when she arrived, we immediately hit it off. We talked about the love we have for our moms, who had both passed away from...
We can get like 8 Republicans, Uber's lawyer, and a credit card CEO to speak at the DNC, but 0 Palestinian Americans. Yeah, let's have an actual like Republican who's escaped from the horrors of communism in Nicaragua, who is related to actual like baby killing Contras, who were in part of like death squads in Nicaragua. Let's have her speak at the DNC, but 0 Palestinians.
Cancer. Both of our mothers were immigrants from India who came to America and committed their lives to serving others. My mother, Swati, became an OBGYN. Thank you. Kamala's mother, Shaimala, became a scientist with a PhD who dedicated her life to trying to find a cure for cancer.
Yeah, I agree, Clavecinist. Doesn't, even if you seem like you're an okay person to be around, that doesn't excuse you of, it's not a job description.
The same optimism and fearlessness to her daughter.
And it doesn't excuse you of being complicit in genocide.
The vice president is that Kamala Harris can cook. Guys, she was so much better than me. But she also knew that my family was watching. So as she gently corrected my sloppy dosa making, she was complimenting me every step of the way, making sure that my daughter Kit
What the fuck
heard
is
how
this?
good of a cook I am.
This is, you're talking about the president, who's supposed to be the president.
To be seen as better than anyone else. She just wanted my kid to be impressed with her mom. And when she finally,
I hate these like personalized stories.
She looked at me and said, really good, and then never took another bite.
Like again, and like we're talking about DPRK earlier, and just like, oh, these brainwashed people in DPRK, and it's like, this is the head of government, and this like obsession with like crafting these like human narratives about them and stuff like that. I find it really fucking weird.
Again. Yes. But it is that warmth, that generosity of spirit that I know she will bring to the White House as our next president. Kamala Harris cares deeply about other people. She will fight to protect our freedoms because those are the values that her mother passed down to her. But in order to protect those freedoms, Democrats also need to win the House. So we have a lot to do.
I missed the like Mother of Dragons thing. I thought that's what we were watching to like punish ourselves, because we're locked in this endless cycle of punishment and pain. Must be on Twitter. Just trying to find the link.
Doing Brat before Brat was Brat. The mother of dragons. Please welcome Nancy Pelosi.
Fuck, come on, man. Man, like, you know, come on. Nancy Pelosi is Brett. What does this even mean? Like, seriously, if you're, what is it, Charlie XVX, what something? Sorry, I'm old. And it's no commentary on her as an artist or anything like that. But if you're her, like, aren't you looking at this and being like, okay, maybe this has gone a little far now? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Maybe this has gone a little far. Yeah, and the whole mother of dragon things was Daenerys Targaryen, who famously burned everyone in King's Landing. So we all remember the end of Game of Thrones when that happens, and maybe we shouldn't be throwing around that kind of an analogy at this exact time. So here's this video. This was Breakthrough News that posted this of DNC attendees leaving the convention, and there were activists there reading the names of dead Palestinian children. And this is how these like DNC attendees reacted to that.
The blood of these children on your hands. 13 years old. Sama Abulin.
Say it again. Say it again. Mock them again. Mock the children again. Do it again. Do it again.
18 years old. 13 years old. Yusuf Hassan.
This is so psychotic. Like,
turn around and join the uncommitted delegates in the protest.
like, is this like this is the the ultimate encapsulation of the hollowness of liberal politics. She's got the rainbow wristband, and she's going la 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 while protesters are reading the names of murdered Palestinian babies and children who were killed by bombs being supplied by the United States government and the Joe Biden administration. Like, you couldn't come up with a better analogy for how completely hollow and less than hollow, like actively harmful and fascist this brand of kind of liberal politics is. As a person who might have empathy, why would you mock dead children? It is insane. No, it's absolutely insane. I could not agree more. It is insane. Average PMC reaction to being slightly bothered. Yeah, it's like I said, these people want to feel like they're decent, good people, that they're on the good side. They're on the good side, and they support the good things, not like the bad guys. And as soon as you confront them with the reality of what these good guys have been doing and subsidizing, that's the reaction. La 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 la. Like you couldn't make that up. It's literally doing that. It's literally putting your fingers in your ears and just being like, stop providing me with this information. We're the victims. We're being harassed, actually. You know, it's so sick. And I don't even know if I want to watch the whole like Zionist speech at the DNC. I think it's going to be too annoying. But then, of course, there's been this sit-in outside with the uncommitted delegates. And I think this uncommitted campaign is a really kind of interesting example of trying to work within this system. You know, obviously, when it comes to Palestine, There's activists like coming at this from a lot of different angles. There's street protests. There's people like in these encampments in schools, which are going to start up again in September, I imagine, or some other form of radical activism on these campuses. And then you have this uncommitted campaign. And this uncommitted campaign has been, like, what do they say? You know, work within the system. Don't do a tent encampment. Work within the system. Vote. Use your voice in this system. Use electoralism to go after the things that you want. So there's people in the uncommitted campaign are saying, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to use this electoral process to stage this form of protest. You know? We're going to lobby the DNC to allow at least one Palestinian American to go and address the DNC. And we'll fully agree to being vetted by the DNC. The speech will be vetted. We'll fully agree. So like we'll find someone with fully upstanding character who's never said a bad word about America, who condemns Hamas and condemns all the right things, and still no. Still nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing at all. And in fact, when they do these protests, like when they engaged in that campaign in Michigan in the primary, people were like, fuck you. Why are you doing this? We hate you. You like being part of the system and trying to make it work within that system.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Wait for your turn to speak. Okay. When can I speak? Never lol.
This is what it means. It's like, that's what they say, right? We work within the system. And we will then that's the only way that you can ever do anything. That's how you do reformism. That's how you can reform things, by working within the system. Anytime you step out of bounds of this system, we don't agree. It's not good. You can't do it. And that's what they've done. They've worked exactly within that system. And thank you, Joe, as well, for the 200 bits. They work within that system, and it's like, no, you still get nothing. We will not change our policy one iota. No, you cannot address the DNC. You will shut the fuck up and vote for the blue team, and then you'll go home, and you will thank us. You can say thank you to us. That's the response that they get. I won't post his name, but the laughing guy got doxxed online and is part of an explicitly Christian Zionist church choir. That sounds about right.
As I'm scrolling through, seeing a live genocide happening before my eyes of my own people.
By the way, we talked a lot lately about AOC and her stance on this in her speech at the DNC, but I am happy to report that she joined this sit-in via FaceTime, though, so I take back everything I said.
Nightmares.
And again, I want to remind people, just in the last 2 days, I'm sure you might have seen this, a video of a child with his head blown open being carried around. This is like, we're not, again, I keep saying this, we're not talking about some like niche political issue, not to devalue like the struggle for climate justice or indigenous rights or racial justice, whatever it is. I don't want to devalue those things, but we're talking about like a fucking genocide that's going on. We're talking about a genocide of children against children. Children are being deliberately targeted. We've got doctors going on television and saying explicitly, children are being targeted deliberately, and we've got the people that are working within this system to try and make some kind of change to that. Still no impact, no change in the policy whatsoever. AOC called in when she was there earlier. It is really interesting the way it seems like she has realized that the criticism is valid, and now she's trying to kind of walk back a little bit. We should have a Palestinian American speak. Well, if only there was an opportunity to talk about that. AOC working tirelessly to keep her progressive image hanging by a thread. Yes.
Of Palestinians like Rima, an elected official from Ann Arbor. The voices of Palestinians like Rua. The voices of Palestinians like Sabrine. And since we're here, let me let you in more.
A father left last week to pick up the birth certificates of his 3-day-old twins. He got back and house was bombed. His twins were killed by U.S. funded bombs. His wife was killed by U.S. funded bombs. His mother-in-law killed by U.S. funded bombs. 16,000 Palestinian children. Those could have been my children. That
She thinks she's going to be able to walk this line indefinitely.
That could have been me. My family could have been internally displaced to Gaza. So many Palestinians are not originally from Gaza. They're internally displaced now 10, 20, 30 times over. What more do Palestinians have to do? We want to live. All we want to do is live and to get married and to dream and to go to college and to have kids and to raise them to be incredible, beautiful human beings who are resilient, who are strong. Gaza has the strongest people in the world. I am in so much pain. This hurts the soul. This is soul crushing. My body hurts from 3 days. I don't even want to call my family because I know if I talk to them, I will just burst into tears. Because this is soul crushing as a Palestinian to be dehumanized in the way we have been. But it is nothing in comparison to what the people of Gaza do, so I continue on. We all carry on as Palestinians in diaspora because we owe it to the Palestinians in Gaza. May God continue to protect them. My name is Sabrine Oda, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Washington State, a Palestinian uncommitted delegate from Washington State. So I'm Rima Mohammed again, uncommitted Michigan delegate. These past 10 months have been, I'm sorry, this is good. So these past 10 months have been a nightmare.
And like, again, they can't even get one person invited to speak at this conference. And again, to her great credit, and I don't know, we can speculate about this. Is Ilhan Omar really on side with this struggle or not? I do think this is still important. People have pointed out, she's talked about Biden, saying the best president of my lifetime, and she's been kind of part of propping up this administration. She did very deliberately and specifically call out AOC for her language and rhetoric the other day, and here she's actually joining this sit-in, which I think means something. I don't know if we, doesn't mean she's a radical revolutionary or anything, but I think it is meaningful that she's showing up to this. Either Omar's daughter talked to her or she sees the gap to fill in AOC's place. It's hard not to be really, really cynical about this kind of stuff, I will admit. It's hard not to be really cynical about it.
Let's be clear. The most honorable Congresswoman from Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is here.
This was part of a longer comments, but at least it is good to see one prominent U.S. official making this case here.
So if you really wanted a ceasefire, you just stop sending the weapons. It is that simple. So if you really wanted a ceasefire, you just stop sending the weapons. It is that simple.
I think it's insane that it's taken this long to have a United States congressperson make this case, but yes, it is that simple. Her daughter was targeted at Barnard College too. I understand being cynical, but I'd be pissed about that alone. Absolutely. Yeah. Targeted by the administration and leadership. No, I absolutely. And let's look at some of these testimonials. A group of American doctors who worked in Gaza have called for a ceasefire and a stopping of the bleeding by stopping the sales of bombs to Israel. Held a press conference in Chicago on Tuesday to describe the suffering they saw among Palestinians injured and killed in Israel's genocidal war.
Gaza deserves the dignity and support. Gaza deserves the dignity and support that humanity as a whole is burdened and has an obligation to provide. I stand here and I'll conclude with this last thought, which is the reason I lose sleep and the reason we cry tears isn't sadness anymore. It's a feeling that we have no ability, despite being from the most powerful country in the world, providing the bombs that drop on these innocent people, that we have no power to stop the bleeding. Gaza deserves the dignity.
American doctors. And think about the delegates walking around with their fingers in their ears. Like, this is what a lot of people connected, a lot of Americans and Canadians and people around the world, and definitely a lot of people that have been supportive of these liberal parties, either the Democrats, the Liberals, the Labour Party, whatever it is. They all have their fingers in the ears.
If you can think of something bad that is happening in the world, it's happening in Gaza or to people from Gaza. The things that I saw there that really stood out or really impacted me and made me realize what's actually going on were a few. Number one was the malnutrition and starvation, which is deliberate. That's perfectly obvious. Even American senators are giving speeches saying that it's deliberate. The second thing was the targeting of children with gunfire. That I was not expecting to see. Actually, I knew how many children had been killed. I knew about the massive killing in general, but I just assumed it was all from bombings. But that doesn't explain children getting shot in the head. Oh boy. That doesn't explain children getting shot in the head, and definitely not every day. I mean, literally every day I was there, I saw a child shot in the head. I kept the journal when I was there, and I just went through it because some reporters asked me to.
Every day?
And like, quite literally, every day I was there, I saw a child shot in the head. That's not an accident. That's deliberate targeting.
Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Children.
What are we doing here?
That's murder.
The injury patterns I've seen most consistently are things like crush injuries as a result of Israeli airstrikes on homes. Between 60 to 70% of those injured and those who make it to the hospital are actually children. I can tell you that
we can't get major politicians in America, except for like one or two people, to say we should be cutting off arms sales to the country that's doing this. Like, is that really so fucking hard? Is it so hard to cut off arms sales to a country that is deliberately murdering children every single day? Every single day.
I have seen.
Can't even say the word ceasefire. The thing is, they can say ceasefire now that the concept of a ceasefire has been mutated into this meaningless platitude that's just designed to make people feel better about themselves. So they can say it now. They couldn't say it 6 months ago, but they can say it now that it's a meaningless platitude. Now that it's not even a ceasefire at all, the actual ceasefire that they're talking about. So yeah, now they can say it. Now that it has no more legitimacy whatsoever.
Consistently are things like crush injuries as a result of Israeli airstrikes on homes. Between 60 to 70% of those injured and those who make it to the hospital are actually children. I can tell you that I have seen injuries that indicate deliberate targeting of children and deliberate targeting of civilians. So I've seen things like gunshot wounds to the abdomen of children, to the chest. I have documented evidence of gunshot wounds to the extremities of babies, quadcopter attacks on children, gunshot wounds to the chest of children. I saw things like Israeli landmines exploding on children who were playing in a cemetery. So the injury patterns and the things that you see as a doctor are quite horrifying, more so than the first time around. I think this second mission, the injuries have been a lot worse and a lot more catastrophic and devastating.
Like, it's just insane to me, honestly. It's just insane that this is still happening. And frankly, and this is, I don't know if this is too spicy, it's insane to me that this is happening, and all that seems to really be a result is we talk more and more about the dangerous threat of anti-Semitism in our society. I think that's even more insane. The more this shit happens, and the more stories that come out like this, the more we have to hear about this problem. Yeah, Israel's trying to kill those grieving, which is a constant thing that happens long before October 7th. When all this becomes undeniable with the perspective of history, I do hope that all those who will say, but we had no idea, will be shunned. I mean, I would love to believe that that's true. I would love to believe that that's true, but it's hard not to be really skeptical about it. Anyway, it's interesting. Like Sean Fain spoke at the DNC the other day. We had a lot of criticism over that. And now, but like the criticism is kind of, there is causing blowback for like politicians like AOC, who's talking about how they should have a Palestinian speak. And now UAW as well, saying if we want the war in Gaza to end, we can't put our heads in the sand or ignore the voices of the Palestinian Americans in the Democratic Party. If we want peace, if we want real democracy, if we want to win this election, the Democratic Party must allow a Palestinian American speaker to be heard from the DNC stage tonight. Like, I think that's meaningful. Like that pressure is being felt at least a little bit. But like a Palestinian American speaking at the DNC is not like the be all and end all of what needs to happen. There needs to be an arms embargo. That's what needs to happen. But I think it would be something. There would be some value if they actually did do that. But that's what I mean. You've got plenty of like Palestinian Americans that are connected to this uncommitted movement, that have like sterling records, that have never said a bad word about America, that will do all the proper ritualistic condemnations, and they still won't even do that. Not being felt in Ottawa, hospitals and politicians and everyone pulling out of pride for the most tepid statement. Pulling out of pride, and there's the whole situation with CUPE right now as well, with Fred Hahn, the union leader of CUPE, who's now like who's possibly might get removed because he's been a strong advocate for Palestine in his position as a union leader. This is something I want to get to next, actually. I don't want to just focus about the fucking Democrats all day. I want to, take that angle and talk a little bit about Ottawa and CUPE and these things. I am going to take just like a short break before I do so, though. I'm going to take a little like 5 to 8 minute break before I get into that. Before I do that, though, folks, if you can, what am I doing there? What am I doing? Here I am. Before I do that, please subscribe if you can. I've got 23 subs to go before I get to the sub goal. If you enjoy this program, if you're a regular viewer, listener, chatter, whatever, please support the work that I do here on Twitch by subscribing. You can also send a tip using the donate function. I really appreciate those tips. I've been getting some tips from some of the folks in this community, and it's very, very helpful, and I appreciate it a lot. Really looking for those as well this week. But please, if you can, support this program by subscribing. It's the only way I'm able to keep this show on the air, is if this little number at the bottom of the screen goes up. Man, I don't like it. You don't have to like it, but that's just the simple economic reality about doing a show on Twitch. So if you can, please subscribe before I take my little break. And any moment now, I know those are going to start rolling in.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Yeah, this place sucks.
Thank you, Matt, for the 35 months, tier 1. Very close to the Pearl sub badge. And Risk Inverse, thanks for the $15. Really, really appreciate that, Risk Inverse. I keep saying this.
Thank you, Rob.
No, thank you. I keep saying this. You've really been helping me out through your support, and it means a lot, and I appreciate it a lot. The subs are extended release. That's right. Any other takers? Any other takers before I take a short break? Subs XR. I put everything in Doge. Still don't totally know what that is.
Oh, here comes Michael.
Me neither, but it is a fun word. It is. It is fun. It's very fun. I'm surprised NAFO hasn't created their own crypto. Yeah, seriously. It is surprising. Okay, well, if there's no other takers here, I just got to take a short break, and I will be back in a couple minutes. Don't sub while I'm not there, though, or I'll be mad. Okay? See you soon. Where's my video? Oh. Here I am. Here I am. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Good to see you. Ugh. How goes the battle? That's fine. Putting gooning in my slide deck. Good, you should be doing that. Still no news on the Cart Night cart. No, we haven't heard yet. We haven't heard anything about the Cart Night cart. I'm a little bit concerned, actually. I'm a little concerned. I'm on the edge. You know what, folks? I'm so sorry. Just give me one more sec. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. That was one thing I didn't do on my break that I'm realizing that I should have. I'll be right back. Sorry, I didn't realize that this was on a freeze frame the entire time. It is funny that it just says ban, though. That's kind of funny. Ban. Don't forget to add charts that convince your coworkers that gooning is a net positive. Of course. It's about healthy, mentally healthy workers. And with an active gooning lifestyle, that's how you get there. We coconut pilled in this chat? Big time coconut pilled over here. As you can see by this chart, gooning has provided a 300% return on investments. Okay, so that's it. I have about another 40 minutes or so to go. Maybe 30. I did want to take a little bit of time to focus on two related stories that are happening with Canada right now, which are both connected, because it's about both the queer struggle, like the struggle for LGBTQIA plus rights, linking with the Palestinian struggle, and the union movement, linking with the Palestinian struggle, and how that's causing consequences and blowback for taking these like important stances. And this just shows how fucking hollow. We've been talking a lot about the hollowness of like liberal politics, right? We see those delegates leaving the DNC with their fingers in their ears as people are reading the names of dead children. And the liberals, the liberals around the Western world, in Canada and the United States and around the Western world, have kind of co-opted the LGBTQIA plus struggle, and they attend their pride parades because they want a little photo op and they want to be seen as supporting the good things. Now that focus groups have shown them that they won't be hurt too badly by supporting these kinds of movements, they want to show up to pride. Justin Trudeau wants to show up and wear his pride socks or whatever it is, or talk about who you love, and making these kinds of quotes to show they have these progressive bona fides. But as soon as a pride group like the one in Ottawa right now takes a stance against the genocide that they've been helped sponsoring, all of a sudden they're like, no, just get me far away from this. I heard they only want to rebuild their buildings so they can throw LGBTQ off roofs. Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so important for like queer rights activists to link up this struggle, because it prevents people from pink washing the genocide. And then as soon as they do this, liberal politicians who want to go and do photoshops at these pride parades are like, no, wait, no way. Like, now that you've taken a statement against this genocide that we're sponsoring, no way we're going to show up. Here's how it gets covered on CTV News.
Canada will not send anyone to Ottawa's upcoming Gay Pride Parade, which is officially known as Capital Pride. That parade is going on this coming weekend. The Liberals are the latest to pull out after organizers pledged solidarity with the Palestinians. Let's bring in CTV's Rachel Aiello, who's standing by at our bureau in the capital. She's
for pledging solidarity with Palestinians.
Tell us here
that's all.
What the Liberals are saying.
Good afternoon, Todd. Yeah, so the Liberal Party has confirmed to me that they are not going to be participating in the Capitol Pride Parade this Sunday in light of what they say were decisions made by Capitol Pride. As you alluded to there, earlier this month, Capitol Pride, the organizers of the parade here in Ottawa, issued a statement both condemning Hamas attack, but going forward to condemn Israel for what it called pinkwashing of the war and expressing their solidarity with Palestinians. Now, over the last
they did all the condemnations.
We've watched a succession of local groups.
They did all the condemnations that they're supposed to do.
In this parade, that has included the Ottawa mayor, a couple local hospitals, some Jewish advocacy groups as well. And so today I was kind of curious, Todd, based on some of the conversations I was having over the weekend, of what this could mean federally. So we've reached out to the various political parties, and the Liberals so far are the only ones to say their plans to not attend. The NDP have just gotten back to me, Todd. They have confirmed that they still want to and plan to participate in the Ottawa Pride Parade this weekend, saying they still think it is important to show LGBTQ2S+ Canadians that that the NDP party supports them.
We know that the Prime Minister in the past has attended this particular parade, correct?
That is right, Todd. He has marched in the Ottawa Parade before. It's also a parade in the city where, because of all of the federal public servants, you would typically see various organizations.
This is how much they actually care about these rights.
Marching as well. So that is a line of inquiry we still have out. I've reached out to the Treasury Board to see if there's
Trudeau
any
applauds
sort of
the Nazis, but this is too far.
Servants, because of the controversy surrounding the organizer's statement, whether it is something that they are feeling uncomfortable with or how they're going to navigate it. There is a group of public servants, kind of a volunteer network, that have made it clear that they don't plan to participate, and they are encouraging their members to instead organize smaller events within their own networks and communities. Earlier today, Ottawa Pride organizers said they're still expecting a sizable turnout, but certainly as the days tick forward closer to this parade, Todd, with some of these big groups who would bring out big numbers of supporters to march and show their support for the LGBTQ2S+ community at these events, pulling out will certainly be felt on the streets of Ottawa this weekend.
Well, we certainly know as well, Rachel, just before we go, this has already been an issue at Pride events throughout the summer in our country. The parades in Toronto and Montreal were disrupted by pro-Palestinian groups. And, you know, there are critics who say that those groups have become radical in their views, and by
radical in their views that murdering children is bad to do.
Parade. I mean,
like, remember, again, I know I don't need to remind you, Chad, but remember when we're watching all these things, remember the images of the dead children we've been seeing just over the last couple of days, let alone the last couple of months. Remember the testimonies from doctors that are going to Gaza that say specifically children are being targeted deliberately with gunshots. They're being murdered deliberately. They're being shot in the head. Children shot in the head. That's what's happening. Oh, they've become radicalized. And first of all, these like LGBTQ plus groups they should be radicalized. These were radical movements. These were radical protest movements and riots. That's how these communities gained rights and acceptance in the first place, to the extent that they ever received these things. And now this whole thing, like, oh, they've become radicalized. Oh, they become radicalized. Yeah, people are being radicalized by our government supporting the murder of children. I don't think that's that crazy of a thing. I really don't. I don't think it's that crazy to be radicalized by that. I think that's actually a normal reaction. I think it's a normal reaction to seeing children being murdered with our government's full support, to then become radicalized by that. And these people are just shocked. These fucking media people they just can't wrap their minds around this. They become radicalized. Yes, they're being radicalized by our government sponsoring the murder of children, the deliberate murder of children.
Which side of the fence you're on when it comes to this one, but not good news for Ottawa in terms of, as you're saying, potential depressed turnout now as a result.
It has certainly generated a lot of conversation. And of course, as we've been covering this conflict, it is one where there are very strong views on either side, Todd, and it's playing out into other scenarios. And so in addition to kind of like the federal look at what I've been chasing down today, we have heard from some embassies who are having to make that consideration as well.
To talk you through all this.
But what about the single issue, pro-murder voters?
Thank you, really chill guy, for the 45 months. I appreciate it. It's a good question. Yeah. Why don't we think about their needs? Why don't we think about them? The only reason we vote. I actually think this is my crazy, like, tanky position, is that I think it's radical to, not radical in like the cool 90s slang way, but I think it's a radical position to be like, the murder of children is not that big of a deal to me. Like, that's what I think is like the radical position here. I think that's being radicalized. I think it's like that's the outrageous, out of bounds opinion for people to be like, what are people so upset about children being murdered? What's the big deal? I think that's the extremist position. In our fucked up, weird, genocidal society, it's not that way for whatever reason. You know, don't ask me to explain it, except that we just have a sick culture of violence and we worship violence and death. But yeah, that's, I think, the extremist position. It makes the line go up. I mean, fuck. Depends which line, doesn't it? I know the defense companies are still doing great, but like they're doing pretty good already. More blood for the blood god. That's it. That's, I think, the extremist position. I think it's an extremist position to be like, the mass murder of little kids doesn't bother me at all. So this idea that these like groups like LGBTQ plus community being radicalized, I find it so fucking weird the way we talk about this.
Because in Ottawa, in the nation's capital, you do have embassies who have stations and employees in this city. Some of them have also indicated, including the German embassy, and most recently now we're hearing, Todd, the US embassy, that they will not be participating in this event as a result of this statement from the organizers. And certainly I think it is going to be an interesting thing to watch over the next couple of days in terms of how the organizers handle this, what ultimately the Pride Parade looks like, who feels comfortable going, who feels comfortable continuing to march or pulling out. It's certainly a bit of an interesting microcosm of this overall issue that we've been covering for some time now.
Yeah, well said. Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Good to see you, Rachel. Thank you for this one today.
So that's that story. And again, it's just sickening, these liberals that love to show up at these events to shore up their progressive credentials or get little photo ops. Hey, Dane, how's it going? It's nice to see you. But then as soon as one of these groups expresses basic solidarity, like this is not, like talking about they've been radicalized, this is not a radical statement. They condemned the October 7th attacks. They condemned all the people they need to condemn. But they're like, but we want to show solidarity with the people that are undergoing a genocide right now. And all these liberal politicians are like, whoa, 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 this is way too extreme and radical for us to be associated with now. Like, it's just psychotic. And now we go to the union movement as well. So we've got the LGBTQIA plus activists. And now we go into the union movement, where Fred Hahn, who's been a great leader of CUPE, I think, has like taken some really bold stances, because Fred Hahn has expressed basic solidarity with Palestinian people. And like, that's what we need in the union movement, right? Is internationalism, solidarity. That's what the union movement is supposed to be. That's what the union is supposed to be. It's supposed to link all these struggles together. And this is how these movements have been completely decimated over the years. And now, Fred Hahn, who's been a very good leader of CUPE and is very popular and was reelected quite recently with a huge mandate, is being called to resign for expressing basic solidarity with Palestinians.
CUPE Ontario President Fred Hahn is being asked to resign from the union's National Executive Board. The board has passed a motion saying it's lost confidence in Hahn's ability to represent the national union in its role as a general vice president. Hahn has been under fire since sharing a video on his Facebook account that showed an Israeli diver at the Olympics turn into a bomb falling on civilians. He has since taken it down and said he regretted any pain it caused. Premier Doug Ford lashed out at Hahn over that post.
This guy's been a bully for 20 years.
Doug Ford,
you know what's funny?
I'm
getting messages on my phone from CUPE members saying his comments have been disgusting. In my opinion, he's a disgusting human being anyways, but that's
Doug
here and
Ford
there.
Saying that.
You know, he says these bigoted comments, It's unacceptable here in Ontario. We have 110 nationalities speaking 200 languages, and we all need to get together. And I encourage QP Canada, someone has to discipline this guy, and I encourage the workers, next time a vote comes, vote this character out, because in my opinion, he's just a terrible, terrible human being.
For talking about the Olympics and suggesting and like making a link between Israeli athletes at the Olympics who are currently undergoing or undertaking a genocide against little babies.
Premier come after the Labor Minister, David Piccini, shared a video showing him confronting Han. Han has not responded to the Premier's comments.
I'm going to try and find that video. And again, this should be basic stuff in our labor movement, in the union movement, to have internationalism, right? And this has been a theme throughout this whole episode. We've been talking about this. This used to be commonplace. We used to have institutions in place that would express this kind of internationalism and would take these kinds of lines. It's really important to link all these struggles together. Like, think about the ways that we've talked about last week when they're trying to de-link the struggle for freedom for Black Americans and Palestinians, and how these struggles are inherently linked. And you have all these people trying to disrupt that and trying to destroy whatever solidarity there might be. We used to have an actual militant union movement in our society that would express this kind of internationalism, and it's been systematically destroyed. And now we have a popular union leader taking basic stances against genocide, against the murder of children, and it's causing this huge political blowback for him. Yeah, now QP is like, oh, look at that. Now you look like fucking morons. What a surprise. QP National, whose executive board has asked for Fred Hahn's resignation as General VP, has released a new statement taking aim at Doug Ford for his bullying and trying to distance itself from the Conservative Premier. Lo and behold, you don't stand up behind your union leader when they express what should be a non-controversial opinion that murdering children is bad in Palestine, and they ask for his resignation. Doug Ford agrees with them, and then they're like, oh shit, what happened here? Now we agree with Doug Ford and we look like assholes. Yes, you do, because you are assholes and you're stupid as well. And now they're putting out this statement being like, oh, in light of Doug Ford's recent comments about internal QP matters, QP wishes to be clear about several things. We do not take advice from a union-hating, public service-gutting premier trying to distract from his own scandals track record, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to read this whole thing. I can link it in the chat. But it's like, yeah, you look like assholes now. Of course Doug Ford agrees with you, because you're throwing your own leader under the fucking bus because he has the audacity to stand up against Canada being complicit in the murder of children. And now you have Doug Ford agreeing with you. Great job. Great job, guys. You did a fucking fantastic job. Like, this is so annoying. Sounds like you did take his advice word for word. That's right. I'm trying to find that footage of him being like confronted. The political instincts of three blind mice. I mean, it's just like, what the fuck did they expect to happen? It's AOC with the IDF guy level political mastery. Yeah. And then they're trying to walk it back. My fellow union members hate that fast food workers are making $20 an hour in California. They definitely don't care about Palestinians being murdered. Solidarity has been stripped away from the labor movement in the West. And a big part of that is anti-communism. The union movement was very specifically and deliberately purged of socialists. that would have these kinds of internationalist stances. And this is what you're left with decades later. Here's the post that Fred Hahn, the evil discriminatory post that Fred Hahn posted, and this lady Catherine Marshall says Fred Hahn is really filling my evidence binder for the QP discrimination case. This is discrimination because Fred Hahn on Facebook shared a video. Fred Hahn, who's been doing BDS stuff for years, long before this shit started. This is the post that he shared on Facebook that's causing him to people in the union, including the union leadership, calling for his resignation.
To the Summer Olympics here in Paris. Now we have the diving event. All eyes are on the diver from the Israeli team as he is approaching the end of the diving platform. The diver is jumping and is aiming his arms to the sky. He performs a flawless sequence of twists and turns.
The dive of an Olympic champion.
Yeah, nailed it completely. Fantastic dive to finish. Didn't really do a bad dive tonight, did he?
And like, this is legit. Talking about Israel's role in the Olympics is totally legitimate. Russia was banned from the Olympics because of the Ukraine war. And Israel just gets invited and is allowed to participate, and people are not allowed to like have a problem with that. People are not allowed to point out the fact that that's completely unacceptable and inexcusable. Or it's completely contradictory is probably even a better way. I was just kind of struggling there. But like, that's the post that Fred Hahn shared on Facebook that's now getting people to call for his resignation. And this is this confrontation. So who was this? This was Minister of Labor, David Piccini, Minister of Labor, Immigration, Training, and Skills Development, confronts Jew-hating union leader. No, we're not. That's the thing. We're not allowed to criticize citizens of a country that is committing genocide because they're a protected class. They're a protected class, people that support this genocide and the deliberate murder of children. And Lodin, like, I think you have a point. Like, if we're gonna have the Olympics, yeah, I would agree. Like, you know, don't ban people from the Olympics, sure. But if you're gonna ban Russia,
30 months of not condemning Hamas,
allowing Israel to compete is genuinely insane. Ice Tray, thanks for the 30 months. I appreciate it. And here's this video where he gets confronted for his Jew hating, which was posting a video on Facebook, sharing a video on Facebook that criticized Israel's participation in the Olympics.
What we're seeing today as a labor leader, you've got to represent your members. And what you have said,
I need you to know that I am representing my members, and I'm not talking about Jews. I'm talking about the state. I am talking about the state of Israel, and I represent 290,000 workers. I am representing 290,000 workers. Thanks very much.
You have to stop hating on Jews. Thanks very much.
So just totally ignored what he said. I'm not talking about Jews.
You have to stop hating Jews. And
I get that you're filming this, and I get that you're trying to do it for
stand up to the office.
You're the Minister of Labor,
and you're a labor leader,
and I represent
your members deserve better.
They
deserve better than
you. They just re-elected me.
They deserve better than you.
Look, criticizing the state of Israel.
Think about how you behave.
Yeah, you got your little soundbite. Just absolutely pathetic, honestly. And I think it's important to stand with Fred Hahn. And in fact, you can do that. There is an Action Network campaign right now to put pressure on CUPE to stand up for Fred Hahn and not allow this absolute fucking travesty to continue to unfold. I'm going to link it in the chat here, and I encourage people to please participate in this campaign. 51,000 letters sent so far. You can participate in this. This is part of the Labour for Palestine, calls on CUPE National Executive Board to reverse its call for CUPE Ontario President Fred Hahn's resignation and urges them and others within the Labour movement not to cave to Zionist pressure. This is from the Labour for Palestine group. I'm going to link it in the chat there. But I think it's just an absolute disgrace, you know? It's an absolute fucking disgrace that this is happening. And like I was saying, it's a testament to like the way that the union movement, the labor movement, has been systematically stripped of anyone in these positions that can take these internationalist stances, whether it's about Palestine or whatever else. Look at the media rabidity. I googled Hahn. Yeah. These are all the headlines. CUPE calls for Fred Hahn's resignation following social media post. CUPE demands resignation for vice president for posting anti-Semitic video. CUPE calls for Fred Hahn to resign, says demand is not due to pressure from Ford. That's all the headlines. And remember what we're talking about. Like we watched that we watched that doctor earlier. Children being deliberately targeted. Children being deliberately targeted with sniper fire, sniper bullets. Children being blown apart, their heads being blown apart. Children being burned alive. And it's so controversial for anyone, or especially like Ontario CUPE leader Fred Hahn, to make any kind of statement to this effect. Whether you're in the Pride movement, whether you're in the union movement, just shut up and don't say anything at all, or we're going to come after you. You don't apologize, and he did kind of apologize for it. Like this is the thing. It's like even when you do apologize, that's when they smell blood in the water even more. Yeah, and you learn you learn that from Corbyn. That was his fatal mistake. Oh yeah, no, unelected Braves. CUPE is a union, and Fred Hahn is the leader of the Ontario faction. It's the Canadian Union of Public Employees. Anyway, it consistently remains totally insane and absurd to me that 10 months into this, what is it, 11 months almost? 10 months into this, with all the horrors that we're seeing and the carnage that we're seeing, specifically when it comes to children, not that that should be the only thing that we think about, but like that should be enough. Like it should be enough to not still be going through these controversies whenever someone takes a basic stance against this. Like it is insane. It's so fucking backwards. And it makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. Folks, I gotta get going soon. I think that's all I wanted to say about it. I will be back tomorrow with more TRRS goodness. still just a measly 20 subs to go to get to the sub goal. So for one final time, if there is anyone else watching this right now, is this still a Stalinist channel? Yes, absolutely, it is. Yes. And if you like that and you want to see more of that on Twitch, well, you got to subscribe. You got to subscribe. So if anyone else would like to support this program, please do so. I mean, the alley-oop has been thrown. Someone really could come through and slam home a 20 gift sub alert right now and get us to the goal. It is possible. It would be possible to do. But you count as a bourgeois compared to me. Well, okay, fine. It certainly doesn't feel like that sometimes. It's a Stalinist, Kim Jong-ilist, Sankarist. Exactly. /Robist / Lodanist thought. With Lodanist characteristics. So does anyone else want to come through and support this show and support the work that I do on here? Every little bit helps. You know, surely we can get to the sub goal in the next couple minutes, right? Surely we can. Un petit peu de juche aussi. Baby. Rob trying to get me canceled for producing a Stalinist show. Wait until the Gorals hear about this. I just can't be contained. I can't be contained. I'm too extreme. I'm extremist. Even with you trying to rein me in sometimes, Lodane. I think you're right, Joe. The ball's in the air. Any second now, someone will slam in that 20 gifted. I think so. I think so. I think someone will. I mean, even one or two would be not so bad. That would be nothing to sneeze at. You never want it to be nothing when you do a call to action. You know what I mean? You never want it to be nothing at all. That's never good. That's never good psychologically. And I know, like, surely that's what's not going to happen. That would really be no good. That's all right, Duke. I appreciate it. Bleep Lord, thanks for the 333. I appreciate that. And thank you, Carnoba, as well. Somebody please save Rob for the line of God, says Dr. Maggot. The line of God. Feels like the communist propaganda is not that strong anymore. Everything is about Israel. Well, I don't know. When we live in the empire and our empire is sponsoring the mass murder of little children, I think it's kind of normal that people spend time talking about that. You know, if anti-imperialist. Maybe we should spend time talking about it when our empire is sponsoring the deliberate targeting and murder and maiming of children. I think that's actually like probably an important thing to do. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, folks.